NASA plans to send humans on a scientific round trip to Mars potentially as early as 2035. The trip will take about 6 to 7 months each way and will cover up to 250 million miles each way. Not like when Katy Perry went to space for 11 minutes, not even 4 minutes. 4. And it is also said that the astronauts may spend as much as 500 days on the planet's surface before reaching the Earth back again. NASA's Artemis program plans to return humans to the moon this decade to practice and prepare for Mars mission as early as the 2030s. While NASA has several reasons for pursuing such an ambitious mission, the biggest is scientific exploration and discovery. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about space travels in a way, like traveling to another planet, maybe conquering another planet or something, making you believe you are in like Dragon Ball Z or something with like Goku going to another planet and, you know, finding some extraterrestrials or something like that. You never know. But the question remains, is it possible to travel to Mars yet? I mean, do you think that humanity will be actually capable of traveling to Mars by like 2050 or something like that? Today, we're going to be looking into how far Mars is compared to Earth and how far we as human beings, we are still from reaching that goal of going into Mars and maybe conquering it at some point. And if yes, let's see how much time it's gonna take. And we'll see throughout all of this if Elon is right or no. Well, we'll see. But through it all, your boy the Guccino is here to let you know on what's going on. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and comment down below once you're done, letting me know if you actually hate the fact that we're gonna go maybe to Mars one day or no. We'll see. So you better hang on tight because this rocket is about to go. Mars has called to us since the ancient times, and since the dawn of time, humanity have been always looking up and wondering how vast the universe is and wondering how much time it will take for humanity to actually go over there and explore everything. And myths and legends around time wound around its possible connection to Earth with an absolute fascination for human beings throughout time. And as we observed Mars with telescopes, this fondness graduated into a scientific fascination as well. Mars is an intriguing planet. From a geological and atmospheric perspective, it formed with the rest of the solar system about 4.6 billion years ago. Around 3.8 billion years ago, the same time that life formed on Earth, early Mars was very Earth-like-ish, you know? It had abundant liquid water on its surface in the form of oceans, lakes, and rivers, and possessed a denser atmosphere. And while on the surface of Mars you cannot see any more water because everything is kind of dry, science has actually discovered evidence of those empty rivers or empty lakes that used to be actually over there. So there is real proof that lakes and water was actually on Mars at some point. We don't know when. Its north and south pole are also covered in frozen water with a thin veneer of frozen carbon dioxide. At the South Pole during the summer, the carbon dioxide veneer disappears, leaving the frozen water exposed. And today, Mars's atmosphere is very thin, with about 95% carbon dioxide in it, and it's absolutely filled with atmospheric dust all over the place. And all of that combined is what gives Mars its color red. Sounds kind of chaotic. It doesn't sound like a very appealing planet to go to, but you never know. Maybe humanity will be able to survive at some point even on that planet. We might be using different technology that humanity is using right now, and that will maybe help us to survive on Mars at some point. There is no limit but the beyond. And within only the last century, the last half century, is when humanity was able to actually send even robotics and stuff, instruments for example, over to those planets to have some images and see how it's going on over there. And that's how probably we got even that kind of information right now, as I'm telling you, you know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Beginning with the Viking probes in 1976 and continuing through the Perseverance rover and its flying companion, the Ingenuity helicopter drone, this robotic exploration has allowed humans to discover complex secrets of Mars. The northern and southern hemispheres of Mars look very different. About 1/3 of the surface of Mars, mostly in its northern hemisphere, is 2 to 4 miles lower in elevation, which is called the northern lowlands. The northern lowlands have a few large craters but are pretty smooth. The southern 2/3 of the planet, called the southern highlands, has lots of very old craters. Mars also has the largest volcanoes that scientists have observed in the solar system. Its surface is peppered with deep craters from asteroid and meteor impacts that occurred during the early history of Mars. Sending astronauts to study these features can help researchers understand how and when major events happened during the early history of Mars. But this is far from the end of our ambition. Humans have planned crewed missions to Mars since the 1950s, and scientists and CEOs alike have crafted intricate ideas to establish a presence on the red planet, ranging from small-scale research outposts to major settlements. And Elon Musk even came up with the plan of sending 1 million people by 2100. So we'll see if that's possible, because your boy doesn't believe so, but we'll see. But in general, there still remain considerable doubt that humanity is not actually going to go there. And between economical and ecological problems and the major challenges that are facing everybody just to actually go anywhere outside of the Earth is absolutely just out of this world. Nice joke, huh? And the impetus to spend the money necessary to fund such an initiative has embedded with the political tides, perhaps more so than any other space mission. Whether it be the dangers of deep space radiation or the possibility of failure in the equipment that keeps them alive, the astronauts who travel to Mars will have to overcome dangers before, during, and after their trip to the red planet. But as the thousands of applications submitted to the now defunct Mars One Enterprise clearly show, plenty of people will gladly sign up. Yeah, I remember like a few years ago, there was like a list that was released and people could actually sign up into a whole trip into Mars at some point when that trip is going to be available or something. But I just remember that the people that signed up on that piece of paper or online or whatever, they signed up for that trip to Mars with no return actually. So they were planning to actually colonize it. I don't know if it's still in the work, but I don't think so. One of the big questions that remains is, what attracts people to Mars so much? Like, Mars is a very lonely place. There's actually nothing in there, and one wrong move and you might die. You never know what's going to happen on Mars. So what's actually attracting people to get over there and spend the rest of their life on Mars? And the only possible explanation to that is that people are actually more lonely than they would think, and they are looking for a way out to actually go and absolutely disappear from the face of the Earth, literally. And in a way as well, there seems to be something of a destiny feature kind of to it, where it is inevitable for human beings to at some point conquer what they need to conquer or what they want to conquer at some point. Because hey, just 100 years ago, who was even saying that humanity will even step on the moon? But look at us nowadays. That's something way past us already. The history itself is very instructive. In the early days of the space race, many people thought it was impossible that human beings would one day set foot on the lunar surface, even if it took decades, as opposed to the scant few years promised by visionaries like John F. Kennedy. But the illusion of impossible is not proof of its existence. In fact, as many failed predictions through history have shown. Even the moon landings were subject to faulty predictions. The New York Times 1920 declaration that rockets could not fly through space due to the lack of air comes readily to mind. Yet on July 21, 1969, two men from Earth stepped onto the surface of the moon, proving all but the most determined doubters wrong. With their spiritual successors at NASA and other space agencies, one day follow suit on Mars. The first person to step on Mars likely among us now, and their moment in history may be coming soon. Analog habitats founded by organizations like the Mars Society simulate missions to Mars to prepare potential travelers for the journey. In 2023, NASA and DARPA announced a partnership to design a nuclear rocket, which some attest could be the first step towards a Mars mission. And to actually send people safely from the Earth to Mars, NASA has actually created a very new, very powerful launch vehicle, the Space Launch System, and a new human carrier spacecraft called Orion. And to prepare and train astronauts for living on and exploring Mars, NASA established a new program to return humans to the moon called the Artemis program. In mythology, Artemis was Apollo's twin sister. The Artemis astronauts will live and work on the moon for months at a time to prepare for living and working on Mars. The Space Launch System and Orion successfully launched on November 16, 2022 as part of the Artemis 1 mission. It made the Artemis program's first uncrewed flights to the moon, and once there, Orion orbited the moon for 6 days, getting as close as 80 miles above the surface of the moon. Artemis 1 splashed back down to Earth on December 11, 2022, after its 1.4 million mile maiden journey. Artemis 3, the first mission to return humans to the lunar surface, is scheduled for 2026. The Artemis astronauts will land at the moon's south pole, where scientists believe there may be large deposits of subsurface water in the form of ice that astronauts could mine, melt, then purify, and then drink. The Artemis astronauts will set up habitats on the surface of the moon and spend several months exploring the lunar surface. Since the moon is a mere 240,000 miles from Earth, it will act as a training ground for the future human exploration of Mars. While a Mars mission is still many years out, the Artemis program will help NASA develop the capabilities it needs to explore the Red Planet. In 2022, NASA unveiled a rough outline for its first crewed Mars mission, identifying 50 points falling under 4 overachieving categories of exploration, including transportation and habitation, moon and Mars infrastructure, operations, and science. These objectives will inform our exploration plans at the moon and Mars for the next 20 years. Many of these objectives involve aspects of sustaining long-term life on Mars. This includes the development of a transportation system that can deliver large surface elements from Earth to the Martian surface. Beyond this, NASA must figure out a way to develop and build entry, descent, and landing systems capable of delivering crew and large cargo to the Martian surface. They must also create enough power for an initial crewed Mars mission. The initial mission would be made by 4 people, with 2 making the journey to the Martian surface. But since you can't live on a desolate planet by yourself, NASA estimates the crew would need at least 25 tons of supplies awaiting them on Mars, which will have been delivered by a prior rover mission. And for any extended missions, the sun's ray must also be considered, while Earth's magnetic field helps shield humans from radiation. Mars has no such protection, meaning that astronauts will need special habitats, suits, and machines that will protect them from radiation, which otherwise could cause cancer. The Orion capsule is specifically designed to keep humans alive during months-long missions, and will be equipped with advanced environmental control and life support systems designed for the demands of a deep space mission. The first step in proving that these systems are viable will be a successful Artemis 2 mission, which will go beyond the moon and potentially further than any human has traveled in history. The upcoming mission is only a flyby, and while humans will not land on the moon until Artemis 3, operating on the lunar surface requires systems that can reliably operate far from home, support the needs of human life, and still be light enough to launch. This means that exploration of the moon and Mars is intertwined, with the moon providing a platform to test tools, instruments, and equipment that could be used on Mars. Now, NASA doesn't have a proper date to give everybody on when this is actually going to start happening, like when is the first human being going to walk on Mars? And it seems that every time you ask them, their timeline goes up. So in the beginning, they were saying that in 2035, we're probably going to be there. I don't think so, because then later they came up and they said, yeah, it's probably going to be in 2040. So I feel like every 2 to 3 years they're gonna come up saying that, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be in a few years. It's gonna be in a more few years. But hey, let's just be hopeful, because trust me, it will happen one day. Human beings are gonna walk on Mars. It's only a matter of time. Other people like Robert Zubrin and Elon Musk draw up plans to send people to Mars by as soon as the late 2020s, with Musk claiming he can establish a colony of 1 million people by 2100. But don't believe in everything that he says, because if you followed everything that has been said throughout this video, you will understand that it is not going to be as easy as he claims that it's going to be to actually go all the way to Mars. If it takes humanity 500 days to just go to Mars, how much time do you think you're gonna need to transport supplies, to transport everything that you might need to bring even those supplies to, like, all the equipment where the rockets are going to be, where the places where people are going to be living in or going in or whatever. It's a big process that will take years to go through. So just telling you, yeah, in a few years we'll be able to go and be there and walk and do whatever, I'm not so sure about that. And I firmly also believe that Elon is pushing on his agenda just so that his investments and his company stays afloat and still makes progress and still goes to space and all of that. And that's why he's been pushing so much with his claim of, we're going to Mars, we're going to Mars. And the fact that he's telling you that we're probably going to Mars in a few years, that's a lie. And remember, the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids in 2-3 years. They built it in multiple, and remember what they had to do to build those pyramids. So I want you to picture that same scale of construction slash strategy slash making people work for you slash slavery, you know, all of that. That's what Elon Musk is looking for, probably. And hopefully he doesn't get it as easy as he will think, because people are not dumb, and it's not going to be an easy trip, an easy journey to get to that other planet. We are not in Dragon Ball Z where people can easily fly over there, you know? But all of that does not mean that humanity is not gonna get there at some point. The basic fact is, when human people set up their mind to do something, that something will truly happen one day. People have set their mind to accomplish so many things throughout history, and they were capable of doing that. And that is why I also believe that if we set up ourselves to truly go to Mars one day, not today, not in 5 years, not in 10, not in 20, but maybe in 50 to 100. We'll see. And just like we conquered the South Pole, the North Pole, and literally all of the Earth in a way, we will conquer all of the universe at some point. And that is the evidence why we will conquer it all at some point. And so while the exact details of a future Mars mission are unclear, where it will take place or who will be the first to step out of the spacecraft and what flag they will bear, the possibility that it does happen is much larger than the chance we will never set foot on Mars. It may take decades, but somebody just like Neil Armstrong will show up again. And this one is gonna be on the red planet. One step from man, one big step for humanity. And on that note, guys, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for staying until the end. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking for more content, go watch this video right here. Peace.